everybody and welcome to today's video. In today's video I've got a little unboxing for you here. This has got two cactus plants in, so let's get unboxing. So this has come very well packed. The seller said it would provide the pots, the label, and I think the soil as well. So they've put the name on each bag for each of the cactus plants, so I think that's quite sweet. And one of these is a Turbinicarpus and the other one is an Astrophytum. We'll start with the small one here because I think this possibly could be the Turbinicarpus. There we go, Turbinicarpus KLINKERIANUS. It's got the label with it as well. That's beautiful, look at that. And this was in flower at the time, and they cross-pollinated it with other cactus in their collection. I will put up some photos of when it was in flower. So the seller told me these were cross-pollinated with his other Turbinicarpus plants. And if you look carefully, you can see in the centre, amongst the fluff, 3 developing fruits. So you can see they're like a lime green colour. You can see a bit of them there. And the dead flower was attached. It just fell off. So here's the dead flower that was on the cactus. So you can see those beautiful spines there. You see the texture and the colours. So you have to be very careful when you water these cactus. These are extremely rot prone. So when I come to repot this, I'll put extra drainage and extra grit and gravel to create the best conditions that I can for this cactus. Moving on to the next cactus, Astrophytum ONZUKA. Wow, look at that, that's gorgeous. So sweet. This one is absolutely beautiful. It's got perfect shape. So it's a very beautiful cactus, very snowy white. And the neck of this cactus is beautiful, nicely formed. So here's a close-up of the white flecking, very densely covered. What I like about the Astrophytum ONZUKA is these very faint arrow-like markings going along the rib edging. So this has been a very well grown cactus, it's got beautiful shape. If you look ever so carefully, you can just see some very tiny little spines just along those tops of those fluffy areoles there. Okay, so that's Astrophytum ONZUKA. Just pop it there. So it's the next day now, so I've given the plants 24 hours or so to just have a rest and get used to the light in the room, the ambient temperature, and giving them some time to just breathe because they've been in the box for a few days. So I'm going to repot them today now, and I'm going to use the soil mix that they actually came with, and I'll show you it in a moment. But the reason for that is if we have a look at this Astrophytum, the roots do need to be taken back to bare root, but I don't want to do it now as we're approaching the end of the growing season. Towards the end of September, they'll be starting to go into their autumn and then winter dormancy. So I don't really want to disturb them, so I'll be happier if they just sit in their original soil mix over the winter. I'd rather that they were happy over their dormancy than a bit stressed out trying to get used to new soil and having their roots cut back. So when it comes to next spring, 2021, when they start to resume their growth, I'll think about potting them up into my own cactus potting mix. So let's take a look at the substrate that they came with. So here's the bag for the Astrophytum ONZUKA. I've had a close look at both of them, and both bags seem to be the same type of soil mix. So we'll pour it out and have a look at it in a bowl. So here is the substrate. You can see that it's made up largely of gravels and grits and stones, and it does have some soil in there as well. So I've just got a spoonful here, and you can see as you dig into it with a spoon that it's actually picking up some soil. So you can see the soil granules there, and it's dry as well, it's not wet, so it's not going to be detriment to the cactus. It's not going to cause any rotting, because I'm not going to be watering them now. Okay, so these were the pots that they came with. These are 5.5 centimetre pot diameter by 5.5 centimetre height. So if you look at the pots side by side with the cactus, it's basically just a little bit too short in the depth. I would sit it here, but I just think it just needs some more space for this taproot. So I'm going to be using my terracotta pots, you might remember, the ones that I drilled the holes into. Now because this gravel is quite small pieces mixed up in there as well, it's going to fall straight through the drainage hole. So with these terracotta pots I'll be putting in some drainage mesh. So this is the mesh I'm going to use. It's flexible and you cut it to size. So here's the mesh over the hole, and you can see it just covers it sufficiently. You can hold it down with wires if you want to, but it's not necessary. Once you get your substrate sat on top of it, it will hold it in position. Okay, so there's the mesh in there, and we'll put some substrate to line the pot. I'm going to take the Astrophytum, infill around it for now, and then it will just sit like that for the rest of the season and through the dormancy until spring. And then I'll repot it into my own potting mix. I might run out of substrate here, so I might need to add some of my own just as a top dressing, just to fill up the rest of the space. So that's fine. I'll just hold the cactus to show you. You can see how far up I've gone to the neck, so when I put the top dressing it will just come up to about here. And when you see the corking on a cactus, This one has light corking, but because it's still quite a young cactus, over the years it will develop a different colour down here at the base. And it develops that as a form of resistance to the moisture and that's at the surface of the substrate. So it gives it some protection from the water, kind of acts as a water repellent layer, and many cactus develop that. So when you are repotting a cactus and you do see it does have that corking, try not to go above the level of that, because it does give it some protection against the excess moisture that can build up around the edges of the neck. So when we put the top dressing on, it's going to be a porous top dressing so that the substrate can breathe, and it's in the terracotta, so that will give it an extra breathability factor. So I'm going to put some Kyadama on the top of this one. So here's the Kyadama. If you've never seen this before, this is a fired clay product and it has lots of different colours in it. It's very beautiful. And this I actually got from Kaizen Bonsai, which I did a video about a little while ago, and they actually call it STE Bonsai soil. It's their own brand, better known as Kyadama. So that's it. I'm not going to go any higher than that. So just to show you that the mesh has stayed in the right position, I'm going to use a mirror so you can see the bottom of the pot. So there you go, that's holding the mixture in there. And then I'll do exactly the same thing with the Turbinicarpus. Put the mesh in there, line the pot, fill it up with the mixture it came with, and then top dress with Kyadama. A little bit more, just to make sure the cactus is sitting at the right height. That's okay for me. Now I did give these cactus plants a check over and I couldn't see any signs of bugs or pests. They look really healthy, so that's why I'm not too worried about using the soil that it came with. Looks to be fine. And usually when your soil dries off properly in between waterings, it helps to kill off any pests or bugs or whatever's in the soil usually, or any bacteria in between drying. That's why it's important to let your cactus dry thoroughly before your next watering. Okay, so now they're ready for their dormancy, and I won't be giving them any water now at all. So let's pop them onto the grow rack shelf. So here we are at the grow rack, and I'm going to position them on this top shelf just at the front here. So there they are down there, and we'll put them onto the shelf. So there they are. So they're going to be underneath these foldable grow lights that I've got, which I have 2 per shelf. So the Astrophytum ONZUKA is a bit different to the other Astrophytum myriostigmas. Astrophytum ONZUKA has a harder epidermis layer, much harder, so you need to be quite careful with your watering. because you do not want to crack the skin. It cracks easily. And a good thing about the Turbinicarpus is from about 1 centimetre diameter, they can start to flower at a very young size, bearing in mind they are a small cactus anyway. So I hope you've enjoyed this little unboxing video on these 2 cactus plants. Thank you for watching. Bye.